Part 2 of the letter TzADI of 119 here. So let's look at the first words of each of the 8 verses. Tzadik, TzADI Dalet Yod Kuf, is the first word that means righteousness, victory, deliverance, salvation, justice, or one who is that, because it's got the yod in there. Now it's TzADI Vav Yod Tav. So TzADI Vav is that word command. TzADI Vav Yod means I'm the commander, or my commands as commanded. You can't find that suffix Vav Yod Tav after the TzADI in the dictionary. So you have to look at that and say, well, how is this? TzADI Vav is command, TzADI of Yod, my command. Tav, I have been commanded. TzADI Mem Tav Tav Nun Yod. Well, TzADI Mem Tav is at the crossroads, the juncture, joined together. It's also extermination or something assigned in perpetuity. So here's the crossroads, and like somebody was just saying a moment ago at the break, it's what side are you on? Like I said, if TzADI means Pei Nun means a side, a faction, a party, a group, or a categorization, which side are you on? So this word here, TzADI Mem Tav, Tav Nun Yod, Tav Nun means to be taught, stipulations, teacher. It's also teeth, like a jackal. Tani, my teacher, or I've been taught, you might say TzADI Mem Tav. Mem Tav is death. TzADI of resurrection, you could say, okay, there's going to be a resurrection of the dead. What side are you going to be on? Sheep or the goats, wheats or the tares? And it's like, well, just doesn't say all that. Well, it does if you know how to read it. If it means at the crossroads, the juncture, joined together in extermination. Everybody's going to die. It's appointed that a man wants to die. That's what it is. Welcome to planet Earth. You're going to die now. Yeah, but once you die, which side are you on? Which group have you joined? Life or death? Blessing or cursing? Moshe said, I put before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Pick. I suggest you choose life, but you get to pick. That's what this word looks like it's talking about. TzADI Resh Vav Pei Hey. So look at TzADI Resh Pei. Attach, join, be refined, purified. It also means exchanged. I wrote down here, exchanged of ilk. What type are you? Hey, I want to be that type. You can change while you're still breathing. You got the chance to change your mind. Hey, I made that decision based on misinformation, or based on the fact that I was foolish, or I didn't know any better, or I just seemed like a good idea at the time. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, I want to change my mind. Given new information, please. Change your mind. Attach, join to the group of life. Rafa, Resh Pei, is to be healed, but it's also to be broken. This is TzADI Resh Pei. So I could say that TzADI Resh, well, TzADI Resh is rock, but it's a fence, but it's also fortress. So see, every word has these two sides, or nearly every word. So you could say, look at, join the side of victory. And I tell the story with some friends at some bakery down in the city of Bend, Oregon, once years ago. And there was some young man handing out bakery items that you buy. And he was wearing I think it was a satanic pentagram, and he had these other things that he was wearing. And I said to him, hey, do you think someone chooses the losing side because they're ignorant or just stupid? Do they just not know what's going on? Or why would you choose the losing side? And he says, there is no sides. Are you sure about that? If you dress up with all the colors and paraphernalia of one of the two sides, is it just costume, or do you think there's no sides? This says here there's sides. Moshe, so see, if you think that, do people really think there's no sides? Oh, we're just all living on the face of the earth. But Moshe said, hey, listen, I put before you two sides, life, death. You could say, well, that's just poetry. I put before you. It's like, no, Moshe, see, it's all how you read the text. Moshe said, I'm making this a big, clear matter. There are two choices, life or death, blessing, cursing, and you must choose. And if you don't decide, by default, you're dead, because you have to choose life. Are those the rules? Nobody told me there were rules. Now you know. Attach, join, be refined and purified. See, if you choose life, now you're in for some beating. Now you're in for some purification. Now you're in for some working over. Would you rather die? TzADI, ayin, yod, resh. Well, see, ayin, yod, resh is to be alert and vigorous. Again, TzADI, if you think of the picture of TzADI, this flag, this flourishing, this resurrection, this vitality, ayin, yod, resh itself is, pay attention, be awake. It's the word for city. It's the word for youth. Have your eye sprouted? Well, ayin TzADI is eye open, but TzADI ayin, I could look at that as this resurrected eye of the Resh man. Well, that's a wise man, a noble man who sees. I mean, those are the elements in there. It's the thrill of discovery. Next word, TzADI dalet kuf tav kaf. Well, the tav kaf means you plural, or you will, or you are to be zadik. You are to be correct, pious, virtuous, of merit. Then the next word, TzADI resh, that's the word for rock, hyphenated with vav mem TzADI vav kuf. Well, mem TzADI kuf. TzADI kuf is to pour out, like pour out a prayer, or a grating, rasping noise of hearing somebody scream, or animals, or heavy equipment making all this noise. It's like, music that you don't like. So that's an offensive noise. Rock of offense. If TzADI resh is rock, like enemy sieging the gates, imposing authority over prison walls, confining, boundary, neighbor, limit. TzADI dalet kuf means, again, justified, proper, vindicated, declared innocent. See, TzADI dalet kuf is not just righteousness, victory, deliverance, salvation, justice, but it's one who has got the benefits of being righteous, which is justified, proper, vindicated, and declared innocent. But that's where you get the Christian New Testament that says, but we're declared innocent because we believe in Jesus. Is that true or not? And if you're innocent, then you don't have to do anything else. So that's really where the conflict of the doctrine is. If his crucifixion was sufficient, then why do we have to do anything to be declared righteous? And if the word tzadik means to be declared righteous, if we really believe in him, we don't have to do anything. But what he said was, do what I said. So see, this is the point. If I look at Christian doctrine, the weasels are really slick and weaselly. If you try to look at what you've been taught and what you think and the logic, boy, it sure is difficult, because for a couple thousand years, and plus you got the devil and the adversary and the liar and all these other guys working to figure it out. Remember, Adam and Hua were innocent. They were perfect. And the Nachash was still able to bamboozle them. So, that's some pretty heavy clout. The only thing we have is, what did Yahweh say? And it's as simple as that. If you try to reason the conflict with the logic, with the doctrine, with the words of knowledge, you're going to have trouble and you're going to be tripped up. But if you just simply say, what did Yahweh say? Well, I don't know what he said. I just have it written in my language. Learn Hebrew. Learn Hebrew. Okay, those are the 8 words. Let's go back and look at the spelling out of the sentences. So starting off with verse 137 of Psalm 119. Zadik ata Yahweh yashar mishpatika. Righteous, ALEF-TAV Hey, you, Yahuwah, vayashar, straight, right, smooth, your mishpat. Mishpat, mem, shin, pei, tet, yod. That's possessive, and then kaf. So it's my mishpat, you, mishpati ka, your mishpat. Now, I could read that, and this is what I went through everything in the first hour about. I could read this as saying, well, your mishpat is righteous and straight. Okay, let's move on. No, wait, no. What does that mean? See, it's not just this poetic, esoteric statement, oh, Yahweh, your mishpat is yashar because you are righteous. That's a statement of truth. But what's it mean? So everything I was talking about in the first hour, yashar, which means straight, right, smooth, you, Yahweh, Vayashar, mishpat, your mishpat is yashar because Yahweh is TzADI. That's kind of what it's saying. And that's, you is ALEF-TAV Hey. So the ALEF-TAV is going to express that you, Yahuwah, being righteous, just, giving the victory to the good, to the ones who do what you say. You're always going to do that, which is the balancing of scales, which is straight and right. So Yashar means straight, right, smooth, like Yashar El, Israel. Yahweh is faithful, which means he's TzADI, to do Pei-Tov, which is balancing of scales. So I have to understand as a basic principle, everything I was talking about in the first hour, that's the way this place works. That's the relationship between ALEF-TAV being expressed, ALEF-TAV Hey, Yahweh, he who causes it to exist, TzADIKah and Mish being the foundation of his throne, which is righteousness, which is victory, which is justice, which is the balancing of scales, and it's all straight right, which means there's no crookedness or deception. That's the way it works. And that's what he's saying here. So when Yeshua says, John 12, 47, 48, I'm not going to judge you, and my word is going to judge you. I could look at that and say, I don't know what the word for judge is, but I could say that maybe Yeshua says, I'm not going to Dalet Yod Nun judge you. I'm not going to say, you're my friend, I don't like you, I don't know you. He's going to say, the word I spoke is going to be your judge. And that judge there is then the word shofet, shin pei tet. Now I'm just pondering, I don't know what's written in the Aramaic, I didn't look it up, but I'm saying there's this concept of Yeshua saying, I'm not going to just say, hey, you're my friends, I talked to you, I know you, I gave you dreams and visions, and I made you feel good. And then he's going to say, Lord, Lord, and we're going to say, I never knew you. And I say, wow, what's going on? My word. How did you regard my word? My word is all mishpat, man's way returned on his own head. Did you do what I said? Do you know anything about? It's not just saying, Lord, Lord. It's not just about believing. It's not just about having faith. He said that we're supposed to do what he said. So bring that into the matter. And then if we say, how do we provoke Yahweh doing what he said he'd do? By doing what he said to do. Verse 138, TzADI Vav Yod Tav, TzADIK, Ed Taki, Ayin Dalet Tav Yod Tav. Ayin Dalet is witness and testimony. Tav Yod, I have, you, Kaf suffix. I've testified of you, I will testify of you. I've seen testimonies. I've heard the stories that talk about your stuff. Va'amunna. Well, Aleph Mem Nun is amen, so be it. It's the validate, verify. Amunna. I will, Aleph Mem Vav Nun, where we get the word mono, or like set the pace, set the meter. Mem Aleph Dalet. Mem Aleph Dalet. Madly, very much, thoroughly, repeatedly. It's all about that. So I could say, Ayin Dalet Yod is also an adornment. The Moedim, Mem Vav, Ayin Dalet. If you know what Mem is and Vav is this connector. Ayin Dalet is a witness, a testimony, ornamentation, bejewelment. You have ornamented yourself. All your stories show us how you operate. So if I look at that word, which is the third of the 5 words there, I could say adorned with the same concept as the fundamental principle, setting the pace, Mem Nun, the standard for every engagement, never allowing for deviation. It's like the pure essential oil, madly. So the purity of the essence is the Aleph Mem Nun, the amen, what's it, the Mem Nun? And so he's saying, The same concept as the fundamental principle. That's what he said in the first verse, verse 137, which is your righteousness is that you will balance the scales perfectly straight and right, because that's who you are. And that's what ALEF-TAV means, says, reveals, expresses. ALEF-TAV Hey. You, being identified by what the ALEF-TAV expresses in these 22 letters, is also going to validate, prove, and establish like the bedrock of your throne, which is that whatever we do is going to come back. And I can count on that in the negative and in the positive. So everything validates that testimony. That's what this is about. Verse 138. So verse 139, TzADI mem tav tav nun yod, join, attach, bound, hold together, conjunction, juncture, assigned in perpetuity, dead or alive, take your pick, which side are you on? Kuf nun aleph tav yod, the tav yod suffix, I have or I will. Kuf nun aleph is the word for jealous, zealous, fanatical. So I am, I have been, I want to be. Yahweh, when he says Yahweh Elkanah, he is a El, zealous, jealous, fanatical about his stuff. And he wants people that are also, again, there's a verse that says that, I can't remember where it is, where he says, I'm looking for a people that want to have, that I want to have my same attitude. So if he adorns himself, not just with the Moedim, not just with the meaning of what these 22 letters are, but he adorns himself with the zeal about his own stuff, which is all this stuff we're talking about, the stuff in the letters, the stuff in the Moedim, the Sabbath day, the concept of Mishpat and Tzedakah. He says, I love this stuff. I'm all about this. I'm all jazzed up about this. And I want to find people who is also. She said, well, I'm not there. He says, look, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask. And with your wisdom, get understanding. So you can ask for wisdom. You can ask for understanding. You can ask to get all cranked up about his stuff. Ask him for it. Yahweh, give us a zeal and a craving and a kuf nun aleph about your stuff, please. Kuf nun aleph tav yod. Kuf nun is a nest, like a bird's nest, a place. This is where I live. But see, kuf nun hey is not just a bird's nest; it's the building of the nest. So kuf nun hey is to buy or purchase because you made it. Maker of heaven and earth is Kuf Nun Hey. Kuf Nun Aleph is zealous and jealous. So you could say, he made ALEF-TAV Yod, my ALEF-TAV. I have made ALEF-TAV, and I am jealous and zealous because it's my nest. This is my place. That's what that word means. And this means at the crossroads, hey, choose to be in that nest with him. Kaf Yod, then, or but if, when. Shin Kaf Het Vav. Well, Shin Kaf Het means forget, oblivion, amnesia. But if the Shin is a prefix, Kaf Het, Kach means cocky, virility, strength, power, force, manly vigor. Shin Kaf Het can also mean to find. So it means to find, but it also means to forget. So there's two ways to read the verse. The next one is Debarika. Again, Debarka would be your word, but this is Debarika. So again, see, the yod doesn't necessarily mean my word, you, kaf suffix, but it's debari. That means the yod suffix has to do with the word itself, not the one who's talking about the word. That's just, many words are like that. So that yod semi-suffix before the kaf, having it related to the previous letters, I'm just saying you have to look at that and go, well, it's talking about the word, but it's talking about your word there. Your stuff, your matters. But dalet, especially in Aramaic, can be a prefixed letter similar to a shin, meaning that which belongs to or in the capacity or the state of bet resh, like bet resh aleph, bet resh yod, bet resh hey, bet resh yod tav, pure, clean, refined. Your pure, clean, refined matters. And TzADI resh yod, TzADI resh is rock, but distress, oppression, trouble, but yet it's also the rock of my fortress, my help, the one that's solid that I trust on. So the two ways to read this is if I choose death, then it's because, the Kaf Yod can mean because I have forgotten your things, which is my trouble. My problem is I've forgotten your stuff. Why have I forgotten your stuff? Well, I got distracted. I just don't care. Or I was, playing on the internet. Or maybe my teachers lied to me. Or maybe we were under the confines of the curse. And we all forgot. It's not our fault. It's just that's where we were born into a culture that had no concept. Of course, now we're on the outside of that. So I can say, but I have now found the strength, your pure, clean word, which is my rock. Well, what's his pure, clean word? It's the proper translation, identifying what he said, what he means, because of the kuf nun of his ALEF-TAV. The nest of what the Aleph, where does the ALEF-TAV find its reality? In the nest, Mishkan pattern. Why the Mishkan pattern? Because it's the same pattern, the 7 days of creation. The first thing he told us. He designed the Mishkan. It lines up with the Moedim, which everybody is forsaken except the Jews. The Beatitudes, this Mishkan pattern is his pattern, which orchestrates, establishes the pacing and the meaning of the entire alphabet. That's the great significance. It's kind of like the Kuf Nun of the ALEF-TAV is the Mishkan pattern. Verse 140, TzADI Resh Vav Pei Hey. Look at TzADI Resh Pei, and it's a synonym with the first word of the previous verse 139, TzADI Mem Tav. It means join, attach, combine, but it's a little different. It means money changer, combination theory. Well, that's chemistry, combination theory of chemistry. Let's pretend what they told us was true. You've got a nucleus, got the electrons, and you get another atom coming in here, and they share the electrons and form a molecule, and then some other one comes in and they share the electrons and form a compound, which makes matter. That combination theory, or how do you multiply or divide fractions if you're doing mathematics, algebra, or something where you have, find the lowest common denominator. Now you can do it. You can't otherwise do it if there's a different denominator. So combination theory is find the common denominator. This word TzADI Resh Pei, again, Resh Pei has to do with Rapha, which is to heal. It also means to smelt, refine, test, cleanse, purify. It's also to join together, right? So to join, attach. So if you're going to build a teepee, Native American type of lodging, or sometimes backpacking tents, you take sticks and you tie them, hook them together, spread out the base, you wrap it in some rainproof shelter, and now you have, but the fact that you have joined the sticks together to make something, that's the meaning of the word. Combinations of joining stuff together, that's like spelling words. Next word, Aleph Mem Resh Tav Kaf. Well, again, the Tav Kaf suffix. Kaf suffix means you. Tav, like Tav Yod, I have, I will, past or future. So Tav Kaf is you will. Aleph Mem Resh, you have said, you have declared, Mem Aleph Dalet, the word madly, very much. You have emphatically made this Vav Aleph Bet Dalet Kaf. And your servant, Ayin Bet Dalet means servant, worship, or to work. Be the workman. See, the worshiper isn't just drifting back and being in a state of ecstatic repose of I'm just worshiping. That's okay to worship like that, but the word obed means to be hard at the task of tanning hides. And then the word Aleph Hey Bet Hey is the word love, but Aleph is a prefix, I will. Hey suffix is to express, and Hey Bet is the word give. So I could say just the word love could also be read as I will give expression of love, which is a functional, not just a theoretical love, but I will functionally express love as a worker, as your servant. I'm reading the verse backwards now. Mad, very much what you said. Combination theory. That's learning how to read. See, if you already know how to read, you can look at this verse and say he's talking about learning how to read. But if you don't know how to read, you're just going to say, attached to what you said very much, your servant I love. Okay, what does that mean? I'm just reading the words quickly with one word translation. But to read it backwards and forwards and to look at what the letters mean, what else can I do? Determining to know what you said, what you meant, what your words mean. What do you want me to do about that? There's no greater expression of love as your servant can I express, other than to be about this task of finding out what you said and what it meant and what do I do about that. That's what he's saying. That's what we're doing. That's what this study is functioning, doing. Verse 141. TzADI, ALEF-Yod-Resh. There's that word for the youth. Ayin Yod Resh is the city. The ayin of the resh, the exalted man sprouting. We talked about that earlier. So the word itself, TzADI ayin yod resh, means small, youth, insignificant, lessened as a child, but also rejuvenated, like youthful vigor, which is the word for aviv. Aviv is not just springtime, but it's that which was dormant, looking dead, like wintertime, sprouting back to life. So the month of Aviv itself is a picture of TzADI, which is like youth, taking certain herbal supplements, and you go, whoa, yeah, all jazzed up, cranked up. But you see, the same word means pain, grief, anxiety, annoyance, or troubled. And it also means compensation for that. And it's like, again, the word of being all alive and the word for being hampered and shackled, but compensation. So I choose to see the meaning of this word because it's the TzADI, the resurrection, the compensation. Ayin Yod Resh, Ayin Resh Hey, Ayin Resh, enemy, foe, to be awake, to be vigilant, to be watching, city, to be alert, to have watchmen around the city so you don't get snuck up upon. It's like, do you know what's going on? Are your watchmen awake? Are you resurrect the youthful? Yeah, but there's all this trouble. Yeah, but you'll be compensated. Yeshua was put to trouble. Are you kidding me? They crucified him. They ripped but the Roman flail shredded his flesh, but he was compensated. How do you compensate for that? I mean, come on, spare me the pain and the grief. Forget the compensation. It's like, no, that's not the way it works. Welcome to planet Earth. We're going to hurt you now. Oh, come on. Oh, but you'll be compensated. Oh, come on. So you look at the Exodus. For at least 100 years, they were brutally treated as slaves. Before that, Joseph was ruling the place. They had some benefits, but the point is the slavery was no fun. And they felt like they were just getting tormented with no benefit. How many generations lasted over 100 years? And then the one generation that goes out, he says, go ask your neighbor Egyptians, your lords that were ruling over you, to give you stuff before you walked out on the Exodus. So they knocked on the door, hey, can you give us stuff? And they loaded them up with gold and silver and raiment of wealthy, fine textiles, clothing. Why would they do that? Well, Yahweh put it on their heart, but they were paying them for 100 years of slavery. Well, that's compensation, not for the guys that suffered, but for these guys. And it's like, why did they give them all that gold and silver? I mean, you got to carry that. Maybe they put it on, maybe they had their animals carry it, but I mean, it's just a strange picture. But my point is, it still means compensation for whatever. And if Yahweh's mishpat, there's my point. We go through stuff here that's painful, suffering. Some people suffer worse than others. And we might think it's not fair. Mishpat and Tzadikah is that Yahuwah will always make it fair. He's always going to make it play out. And I can trust that nobody suffers anything other than it's mishpat, this is what they brought upon themselves, or somebody else imposed it, and Yahweh's going to balance the scales by bringing very specific compensation, whether in this life or in the one to come. Nobody gets away with anything, and nobody has to pay for anything that's not just, because he is Tzadik, and he does Yashar Mishpat, going back to that first verse. And so I have to use that as taking heart that no matter what is happening to me, But the question is, what do I do? The next word is Vav, Nun, Bet, Zion, Hey. Well, Bet, Zion, especially if you stick a Vav, you get bozo, Nabaza, kind of like no bozos. Well, the word bozo, that was the name of that clown in the 1960s that was on American television. Bozo literally means despised, contemptible, distasteful, disgraced, shame, and vulgar. I gotta bet whoever named himself Bozo, that guy that was that clown, named himself Bozo because he knew Hebrew. It's like, why would you name yourself that? Because that's funny if you know. I'm going to name myself despised, contemptible, distasteful, disgraced, shame, and vulgar. It's like, what a great name for a clown. Okay, anyway, the next word, Pei Kuf Dalet Yod Kaf. Again, Fakad, Pei Kuf Dalet. Your precepts, what you allowed me to see, what you gave me, what you entrusted to me with. So I could look back and say, small, youth, insignificant, pain, grief, annoyance, I am Anoki, Ve'naboza. I seem to be despised or disgraceful, vulgar with what you gave me. You know, David singing about this alphabet. I said, you know, somebody called me Alphabet Boy once, and I thought, hey, I'm going to wear that as a badge of honor. Well, they meant it as a, whatever. It's like, hey, I don't care what you meant it as. I'm going to wear that as a great, wonderful honor. Alphabet Boy. Wow. Okay. And even eriktology was, that's just eriktology. It's like, whoa, hey, that's the name. Great, thank you. That was somebody else handed that to me in despise. Lo shachachti. Again, that last word, I will never forsake. Lo shachach. But Lamed Aleph, I will not forsake, ignore, forget. If you look at that word for Pekuf Dalet, just a little closer, Pekuf Kuf, cork stopper, traffic jam, protuberance, Pekuf Hey and knob. So like on the menorah, these are smooth arms, but it said you should have these bulbous bulbs, 3 on each of the arms. Those were Pekuf Hey knobs. Pekuf Pekub means hesitate, doubt, question the validity of, protest, shaking or trembling. It's like you're doing something that's like stop and convulse and traffic jam, and there's a car accident, nothing's flowing. And why would that be Pekuf Dalet? Kuf Dalet, cut or drill. Kuf Dalet Dalet, to bow one's head. If you're using a power tool and you got to hold it carefully and strongly and work carefully so that something doesn't break or you get injured or you mess up what you're trying to do, it's that picture. Again, what's the picture of Pekuf Dalet? Precept. One of the talents you gave me that you're going to come back and say, what'd you do with it? I'm going to say, here, this is what I did. But I've got to focus all my attention and I've got to hunch over the drill so that it doesn't move, so that I can put this hole right where it belongs. Don't want to break the drill bit. The word shin kaf chet tav yod, again, shin could be the prefix. Kaf chet means strength, power, force, vigorous, potential. It's like, I've got this powerful drill and I got to focus. You've given me something and I've got to put all my attention to making sure I do this right. So kuf dalet is the top of the head. I'm aware, I count the cost. I will never forsake what you've entrusted to me, regardless of the cost, the disapproval, the trouble. I don't really even care about the compensation. It's not about the compensation. You gave me this, and I'm going to put my entire life at this singular, like a drill point, matter. You got the person, you've got the attention, you got the weight, you got the why you're doing it. Focus down on this one little drill bit onto that point as it interfaces with the surface. That picture to the detail. I'm just trying to, that's what David is talking about. And it seems like he's talking about understanding the language. Each letter, each concept. Cork stopper, traffic jam, protuberance. It's like Selah. Stop and think about that. Can you put yourself into that much attention on each letter, each word, each juncture of 2 letters, traffic jam, each, how does it fit onto the menorah picture? Verse 142, Tzadik taka, Tzadik. You have righteously done righteousness. It doesn't say done righteousness. You have righteously right. TzADI taka TzADI. Leolam, forever. Ve Torah emet. And your Torah is truth. Okay, well, you could take that last two words, your Torah is truth, and say, which Mark has done here a number of times, saying this is the one verse out of the entire Bible that makes a definitive statement. Torah is truth. Tortka emet. Yeah, but no. Yeah, but Torah is truth. You want truth? Look at the Torah. Take that as a factual, bottom, foundational given, an axiom, reality, worthwhile beyond appreciation, leolam. You can't even fathom the boundaries of what this stuff is, continually, without fail, every time, worldwide, beyond regard. TzADI Dalet, side party faction, Dalet Kuf, Dak, meticulously look at, examine, very fine, thin, detailed, pedantic, exact, precise, strict, investigate, search, crust of small bits pounded. Dalet Kuf Noon is a grammarian. Crumbs, the little bits of matter turn into atoms, which turned into protons, neutrons, electrons, which turn into quarks, which turn into the string theory thing. But words turn into letters. That's the smallest element. That's why to break something down is Dalet Kuf. I have broken down everything you said to the letter. And what it is, it speaks of itself. Declared innocent, TzADI can mean declared innocent. And so I can see where the word for tav mem is perfect, but it also means innocent, naive, without a bunch of other stuff that doesn't belong there. So I could say, well, every word of Yahweh's stuff is tav mem, which is also TzADI. Break it down and it's all innocent. It's all perfectly true. So TzADI Dalet, as well as Peinun, can be the party in an argument, partisan, side, or flank. It also means turn aside, sideways, incidental, or unimportant. TzADI Dalet Hey, to lie in wait, beguiled, laid waste, or desolate. TzADI Vav Dalet, hunt, catch, capture, was caught. So it's interesting that those who would destroy Israel, like we mentioned last week, Balaam saying, hey, send it. Yahweh told Balaam, because there's no sorcery and divination in Israel, they cannot be compromised. What's he telling you? Okay, he told Balak, send in your prettiest girls, bring in sorcery and divination. The Israelites will compromise themselves. Their own Elohim will destroy them. They'll destroy themselves. That's how you curse Israel. So he's telling us with the word TzADI, the hunter will capture us, lie in wait by beguiling us, deception of righteousness, by which case we'll be laid waste and desolate if we turn aside from what is righteous to what is unimportant. If we go sideways instead of yashar straight, well, the word for Satan, shin tet nun, also means the zigzag, or to go apostate, or to go sideways instead of going straight. What Yahweh said in his Torah is truth, and he said to do what he said, listen to his voice, find out what he said, study what he said, walk in his ways. That's righteousness. And if we veer from that, there's the trap, there's the snare, there's our enemy lying to us to compromise us, and we lose everything. We get the blessing taken out of our hands and given to our enemies until we return to doing righteousness, which is walking our way. See, it's the understanding of that, what I talked about that whole first hour, is the fundamental principle of this entire thing David's talking about, which is the structure of the kingdom. And Yahweh is giving his kingdom to Israel. Verse 143, Zar, Zadiresh, Tazar, rock or trouble, hyphenated with Vav, Mem, Zadi, Vav, Kuf. Well, you look at Mem, Zadi, Kuf, or Zadi, Vav, Kuf, because Mem is a prefix, support, pillar, erect, solidified. Also, it's distress, oppression. It's something molten, made solid. So if it's Zar Mazoka, when trouble flows, poured out, that's the molten becoming solid. That's like molten lava, then petrifying. It's a volcanic eruption. It's a tsunami, a mud flood. Is he saying when trouble is flowing out, the next word, mem TzADI aleph vav nun yod? Well, mem TzADI aleph is to find out. Mem TzADI hey, like matzah. Mem TzADI vav, what he commanded. But this is mem TzADI aleph vav nun yod. Well, nun yod is I'm doing aleph vav nun. Means get out. Or TzADI aleph means get out, foul, be dirty. Aleph vav nun is a deed of purchase. In other words, have I bought something? Did I do something wrong? To all of a sudden realize, what have I done? I mean, we saw this verse a few weeks ago where Yahweh says, nobody's even asking, what had I done? Or what happened? Wait a minute, why does the world look like it is? You think there's something wrong? Or, oh, that's just the way it is. Nature's acting weird. Is there anybody that can stop and think? Like the traffic jam, like the Selah. Take mem TzADI aleph vav nun means take inventory, find one's bearings, drain, squeeze out, made in haste, unleavened bread. When trouble starts flowing, just like they had to make matzah in a big hurry, hey, stop, figure out quick, what's going on here? See, the word deed of purchase also means, what have I done? Aleph vav nun is the word trouble, sorrow, iniquity, idolatry, earlobe, or a fat tail. It's like there's something that's, look at where the problem is. Look at, there's a water leak. Why is it leaking? Strength, potency. It also says skein, S-K-E-I-N, in Klein's dictionary. So I looked up, what's the word skein mean? Tangled, complicated, knotted coil of yarn or hair. It's also a flock of geese or swans or ducks in flight, a sequence of wins and losses. If there's like a sports team, it's like you look at, say, hey, what's going on here? Something doesn't look right. Or why is this stuff happening instead of that stuff happening? Warning light comes on in your engine. It's like, uh-oh, I better take this in and figure out. And then mem TzADI vav tav yod kaf. You have commanded me. And then shinayin yod, shasha. Well, shinayin means my delight or exhilaration. But now let's look at the other derivatives. Hey shinayin yod hey, turning, leaning, suspension, turning away. Shin ayin nun, or nun shin ayin, reliance upon. Mem shin ayin nun, support, stay, staff. Mem shin ayin yod, for cleansing. Mem shin ayin, amusing entertainment. So I could sit there and say, I'm going to, when trouble's coming, I'm going to stop and look at what you commanded me. Quickly find out, I got to take my bearings. Did I mess up somewhere? Is something going wrong? And my delight or my exhilaration is to say, thank you for giving this to me. And like a support or a stay, a staff you hold, walking stick, it's kind of like he's describing a bridge over troubled waters. What you commanded me, like a bridge over troubled water, when something happens, I can stop, I can take inventory, I can look and say, it's like, what do? I don't know, where do I write? It's like, no, look at what he commanded. Did you miss something? Go back and read what he said. There should be the obvious place, like the earlobe, like the fat tail, like, hey, here's this one thing that there's water leaking on the floor. Something's wrong that you need to attend to. That's what the verse is talking about. The last verse in the sequence, Psalms, verse 144 of 119 here, TzADIK, again, victory, right, justice, salvation, ayin dalet vav tav yod kaf. Again, that we went over that word ayin dalet vav tav. Your testimonies, you gave me accounts as reminders. If I put this part of the study of the derivatives, put the other prefix letters. Mem ayin dalet means slip, totter, stumble, falling. A group assembled together by appointment, which would be moed. Ayin dalet hey, what passed away removed. The word for booty or something which thieves can steal. Ayin dalet, progress in time or perpetuity. Ayin dalet, to count, regard, reckon, consider. Ayin dalet, a cloth used to ascertain a condition of cleanness, a menstrual time, a witness. So if somebody if you get a cut and they put a bandage on and they take the bandage off and the bandage has got a bunch of stuff stuck to it, they say, well, boy, that thing's infested. But if the cloth comes away clean, it's like, well, boy, you're healing up. You could look at it that way. Put a paper underneath your car and see if anything's dripping. That's what that is. That's an ayin dalet. Leolam, forever. Hey, bet yod, nun yod. Well, bet, it's like Benini, like Benny and the Jets, right? You know, Elton John. Benini, bet yod nun is between this and this, to mediate in between, understanding, to be able to look at this and look at that. Vav, Aleph, Het, Yod, Hey. Aleph, Het is brother, Het, Yod is life, Hey is the expression, Aleph is the prefix meaning I will. So it's, this is my life, I live, this is my brother, this is my family, this is where I'm at. Perfectly suited for accuracy, dependable witness for every occasion. So again, he's going back with this last verse and qualifying what he means by the previous verse of when there's a trouble, where's the bridge? Go back to what he said. So the idea of saying, open up your Bible and read it, and it's like, yeah, but I'm telling you, if it's in English, you're going to be led astray. I'm not saying you're going to burn in hell, but you're not going to see the truth. Just saying. Okay, we're going to look at the TzADI concept. The TzADI concept of resurrection. And it's like, well, is that just life after death? Here's Isaiah 35. It's kind of short. I'll read it kind of quickly, 10 verses. The wilderness, let me back up. Verse 16 from Isaiah 34. Search in the book of Hashem and read it. Search in the Sefer Yahuwah. Ve'kara. Learn how to read. Not one of them is lacking. Not one of what? Words, letters, meanings, communications. No one is missing its fellow. For my mouth has commanded it, and its spirit has gathered them together. He has cast lots for them. His hand has distributed for them. It says the land with them with a measuring line. That word measuring line is kuf-vav. So just like TzADI vav is command, kuf-vav. Well, the vav is a suffix, so you have to know what the TzADI means to know what TzADI vav is. You have to know what kuf means to know what kuf-vav is. Here they're saying it's a measuring line. They will inherit it forever. They will dwell in it from generation to generation. So that's the setup for chapter 35 of Isaiah here. And the concept is that's a promise that Nam Yahweh, like we talked last week, that he said, my mouth has commanded it. See, it's translated here. Its spirit has gathered them together. Its spirit. There's something about the ruach of each word. It's almost like, let's use it modern science. They have these little things that they put into bloodstreams, which once they're in there, they gather together and formulate. It's like this. Graphene oxide will do that. Whether it's magnetic, whether it's robotic, whether it's some kind of weird energy, but they gather together and they assemble. It's a picture of the same thing he's talking about here. It's kind of what his words and letters do. Even if his words and letters are torn apart, scattered, and translated into other languages, the reality is they're going to come back together and form exactly the structure that he built in his heart when he said Yehi Or, and then has that word in John 1:1. It's got to all come back together, no matter how far it's scattered. And so his people, like a similar metaphor, even if they're on the far side of the heavens, when he says, I'm going to gather you back and bring you back to the land, it all comes back and reassembles. It's kind of like that, what is it, the Terminator movie? It was a picture of that. See, those are metaphorical pictures of what he's saying right there in chapter 34. Then he says, when that happens, they will dwell in it from generation to generation. So he has to bring his people back, and his people have to dwell for numerous generations. So how can this be the end of the world? We're not brought back to his place yet. Verse 135, verse 1, chapter 35 of Isaiah. The wilderness and the wasteland will rejoice over them, over the people. The desert will be glad and blossom like a lily. It will blossom. See, that's all TzADI picture, right? It'll blossom abundantly and will rejoice with joyous, glad song. The glory of Lebanon. See, the word Lebanon means to be made clean and purified, made white, has been given to the majesty of Carmel, and the Sharon, that's the garden and land, is the most beautiful places, and they will see the glory of Yahweh, the majesty of our Elohim. Well, there's another way to read that, which I think we're running out of time. Maybe we'll look at that next week. Strengthen weak hands and give support to failing knees. Say to those of impatient heart, be strong, don't fear. Behold, your Elohim will come with revenge, divine retribution, Kuf Nun Aleph and Mishpat. He will come and save you. See, that hope set before you is the TzADI thing, the TzADI thing. Here we are, we don't see it, but picture this hope of TzADI and hold that. And that's what he's saying. Those of impatient heart, because they don't see it yet. It's like, come on, he said, but no, be strong. Do not fear. Your Elohim will absolutely indeed come with revenge, divine retribution. He will come and he will save you. That's an absolute. There's no question. Whether it's this life or the life to come, or whether he's going to restore us to the land. Eventually, not yet, but see, 35 is all about this hope set before you, the TzADI beyond the veil in the Kadosh Kodashim. So I'm saying this is a picture, the concept of the TzADI. Then the eyes of the blind will be opened. TzADI. The ears of the deaf will be unstopped. TzADI. The lame men will skip like a gazelle, and the tongue of the mute will sing glad songs. TzADI, TzADI, for water breaks out in the wilderness. TzADI. And streams in the desert. TzADI, the scorched place become a pond, the parched place reeds and bulrushes. All TzADI, there will be a path and a road. It will be called the road of holiness. The Derek Kadosh. And no impure person will traverse it, for it will be for them the wayfarer, even ignorant ones will not go astray there. Why? Because they'll know what the words of Yahweh say. There will be no lion there. The boldest of animals will not ascend it. It will not be found there. The redeemed will walk there. Halakha, the Derek, the redeemed. Hey, I believe in Jesus, so I'm allowed. The redeemed are the ones. Gimel Aleph Lamed is the redeemed. Gimel Lamed is to go into exile, become uncovered. It's also to discover and to go back full circle, come back around like that Kuf, like the Cygnus, this one. Verse 10, then the redeemed of Yahweh will return and come to Zion, because he's the commander that gives commands with glad song. With eternal gladness on their heads, they will attain joy and gladness. Sadness and sighing will flee. Has any of that happened yet? He didn't say, oh, this will be in the new heaven and the new earth. This will be in the by and by. I mean, he's talking about the places on earth. Well, that hasn't happened. So I can sit there and say, that has to happen before the end of the world. If we jump ahead to, we're going to run out of time here. Let me look at Isaiah 40. Comfort my people, says your God. Speak, says your Elohim, speak consolingly of Jerusalem and proclaim to her that her period of exile has been completed, that her iniquity has been forgiven, for she has received double for all her sins from the hand of Yahweh. That's what I'm saying. It's not double, it's duplicate of what you did. A voice cries out in the wilderness, clear the way of Yahweh, make a straight path in the desert, a road for our God. How do you do that? What does that mean? How do you make a straight path in the desert, a road for our God? Think about that for a minute. This is English. Every valley will be raised, and every mountain will be and hill will be lowered. The crooked become straight, and the heights will become valley. Well, that's how you put in a road. If the highways and the byways, they meander around the mountains and the streams and the rocks, and there's a cow, let's go around the cow and the tree. But the highway is knock everything down, pave over it, and that's where you get the word Lord. Larad, rude, road. Pound, crush, go straight, fill in, knock down, go highway. The glory of Yahweh will be revealed, and all flesh together will see that the mouth of Yahweh is spoken. How do you do that? How is Isaiah 40, verse 5, supposed to happen? The glory of Yahweh will be revealed. When will it be revealed? Well, is that when he comes back? Is that Jesus in the sky with angels? Is that Revelation 19? The glory of Yahuwah will be revealed, and all flesh together will see that the mouth of Yahweh is spoken. This is Isaiah chapter 40. How does Revelation 19 have to do? Well, he said he's coming back, and there he's coming back. Is that what it means? Verse 6, the voice says, proclaim, and the prophet says, okay, what shall I proclaim? He says, all flesh is like grass, all kindness like a blossom in the field. But grass withers and the blossom fades when the breath of Yahweh blows upon it. Indeed, the people are like grass. Grass withers, the blossom fades, but the word of Yahweh will stand forever. Okay, that's the bottom line, is that whatever Yahweh said stands forever. Everything else is a fleeting moment, dust in the wind. It's there and it's gone. Talk a little fast here, but let me back up to verse 40, or chapter 40, verse 1. Nachma, Nachmo, Nachamo, my people, comfort, comfort. Vayemer Eloheka, says your Elohim. Debar el lav, he speaks his word. It's stipulated, ayin lamed hyphen with lav, heart. Regarding the heart, Jerusalem. Well, resh vav shin, rosh is to inherit, become licensed and authorized, and shin lamed mem is shalom, or made good. So it's like the restitution of heritage. That's what the meaning of the word Jerusalem is he promised you that you'd get the blessing, and you actually get it. So for him to say, I promised you all this stuff, it's time for the tribulation and the rapture. Let's just go home, forget all that stuff. It's like, he said it, it's got to happen. Vayikra Eliyah, Kuf Resh Aleph, call, assemble, learn to read. And this is Aleph Lamed Yod Hey, Eliyah. I, Aleph, Lamed Yod, my, Hey, revealed. My stuff being revealed towards Kuf Resh Aleph, learning how to read. Kaf Yod, for, so, thus. Mem Lamed Aleph Hey. Mem Lamed Aleph is the fullness completely. TzADI Bet Aleph Hey. Well, TzADI Bet Aleph, like army, a fixed time and enlistment, amassing, waging war. Kaf Yod, for then. Noon Resh TzADI Hey. Well, Resh TzADI, rats, run, volitionally. Noon Resh TzADI is count, number, payoff, restitution, atone for, satisfy the creditor, deliver a lecture. Okay, so something, a certain debt has been run the course and paid off. I involve noon. Hey, I involve noon means iniquity, distortion, ruin, bent, twisted, converted, marital duty, seasonal occupation, a specific time, trouble, suffering, punishment, or guilt. It's like, you guys did a bunch of stuff, and I told you it would be 2,737 times 390 Northern Kingdom. Southern Kingdom was a different count, but so the number's been paid off. The fixed time of when you guys are getting pounded by your enemies has suddenly been Mem Lamed Aleph filled. If you learn how to read, I'm reading the sentence backwards here. Get down to the later part. If then Kaf Yod Lamed Kuf Het Hey, take hold. Mem Yod Dalet, at the hand immediately, Yahweh. Wait a minute. It doesn't read that way if you look at the English. If I read these words, if we now take hold. Well, Judah was told take hold at the time. Days of Hezekiah, Babylon came in 70 years later. They were brought back. But the Northern Kingdom, this didn't happen until 2010, if we got the right count of years. Yahweh is paid double. No, it's not double. It's duplicate of all your sin. What sin? Het Tet Aleph. Het Tet Aleph. Sin is not doing what he said, which is Zadokah. And Mishpat is, just like you guys do, got to come back on your own head. So the whole time of trouble is a restitution for your Aleph, Ayin Vav Nun Hey, is Mishpat, coupled, duplicated, Kaf Pei Lamed, back on you. He's saying this is the way it works. See, but if you know this is the way it works, you can read this and say, I know exactly what this verse is saying. You will get restitution of heritage, learn how to read what he said after the fixed time of being pounded by your enemies because you guys polluted, forsook, didn't care about my stuff. That's what's happened. Okay, now here's where we are. So what do? Take hold immediately of Yahuwah. Verse 3, Kol Korah. Voice cries out, Bamidbar. It's in the place of words. It's in the language. It's translated in the wilderness. Pei Nun Vav. His face, his sort, his type, his kind, his classification. Derek Yahuwah. Yesharo. The way of Yahweh's face is absolutely clear in his language. Be'erava. In the condition of mixed confusion, swarm, willow trees. Oh, it's pleasant and sweet. It's a soiree. See, that's why I went about this earlier. Next word, masalah. Stop, think, evaluate. Selah, meslah also means mem samek lamed, exalted, comparable, fine, distinguished, excellent, luxury, curled, trilled, highly esteemed. Evaluate the worth, la Eloheinu, of what our Elohim gave us. It's in his words. You go back and you look at everything he said, and then you look at how it's been mixed, polluted, bungled up with pagan idolatry and mixed with every perverse thing that he said don't do, even when he said, you are Israel in Leviticus, do not eat these things. They're not food for you. Oh, he said we can eat whatever we want. You think so? That's the blatant example of the confused pollution. Just like the voice of the Nachash in the garden, just like the last words out of Moshe's mouth, your enemy's going to deceive you. They're going to try to lie to you because they got no weapon. No weapon formed against you will prosper, but they can lie to you. They can deceive you. And if you fall for it, you're done. Thank you, Balaam. Abraham was told the same thing. Your children, Abraham, you listen to my voice. I'll give you this blessing and I'll give it to your children, but they must listen to my voice. Yeah, we don't have to listen to his voice. Abraham listened and we ride on his coattails. And it's like, they've changed the translations. Stop and think. Evaluate the excellent luxury of the highly esteemed what our Elohim gave us. Verse 4, called Gia, or the Gimel Yod Aleph, Gia. That means valley. It has to do with the word Geo, Geo. Hey Gimel Yod Vav Nun, resounding music, meditation, logic, reading, worthiness, respectable, propriety. Hey Gimel Hey is navigate and steering. It's not necessarily valley, but Yod Nun Shin Aleph, NASA, Nun Shin Aleph, pick up, carry, transport, claim a debt, given in marriage, but also deceive, beguile, exalt, lift up, destroy, pardon, call har, ve'gava, every mountain and hill. So he's saying, fill up or pick up every valley, and every hill and mountain must be Yod Pei Lamed Vav. Knock it down and exist following in the wake, make it level the highway of our Elohim. It's like, no, wait a second. Every navigating Haggah, every pondering of meditating logic, reading of what's respectable and worthy is a deception, a beguile, picked up to destroy you. And every Hey-Resh, notable Gimel Bet Ayin hill, elevated quest, every noble pursuit of science, medicine, law, economy, politics, psychology, oceanography, it's all lies and distortions, what they've given us. It will become low, despised, degraded, Shin Pei Lamed. All of a sudden, somebody's going to realize we've been had. They've lied to us about everything and exist following in the wake, which is the word Akov, which is Jacob, Lamed, Mem Yod Shin Vav Resh, La Mishur, that's like Yashar, Yod Shin Resh, plain, level, righteous, honesty, equity, justice, to rectify, belonging to Yasharness, Vav He Resh Kaf Samik, Yod Mem. Well, Resh Kaf Samik means bound, fastened, buttoned up. It also means trampling, plottings, and zipped fastener. It's like every conspiracy to just take over, dominate, trample, and destroy. The last word, Lamed Bet Kufayan, cleave, split, break open, take by storm, breach, burst wide open. Go back to the previous word. Think about what the things are that Yahweh gave us. It's in his word. It's the Yashar Derek. His face as revealed in his language. Every other meditating logic of respectable propriety is all been fabricated lies. And when all of a sudden we realize how despised and degraded, following that when we go to look at his stuff, all their plottings disintegrate. That goes back to the original question: how do we catalyze his justice? How do we get Yahweh to move? How do we get him to make the next step of, would you do something, please? Remember Moshe standing at the shore? Got the ocean, got the mountains, got the Pharaoh's army. It's like, would you do something? What are you yelling at me for? What do you got in your hand? I got my stick. Well, hold up your stick and tell the water to part. It's like, what? Did I miss that? And what? I didn't read the instruction book. Was that in there? He's already given us whatever we need. What do we need to do? Oh, he tells us right here, Kra bamidbar. Kol Korah bamidbar. The voice cries out in the place of words. Peno Derek Yahweh. The classification of the way, the journey, the path of Yahweh Yashar. And we got a Selah. But Arava, against the confusion mixture, blended together. Oh, Sunday, Christmas, Easter, Halloween. It's not about that stuff. Jesus said we didn't have to. Not about that. 5, Nagalah. Well, Gimel Lamed, as I was going about a few minutes ago, uncover, go into exile, turn back around, come back, and it's also to uncover. Nagila. Now, if you look at Hagila or Nagila, you won't see this, but if you just look at Gila, Gimel Yod Lamed, like the song Hava Nagila, means rejoice, dance. It's to appear, it's discover, it's uncover. So it's not only go into exile, get uncovered, you're not any longer in your city, protected, all your protection is ripped off, and now you're subject, but it also means discover the truth and come back. Kavod Yahuwah, the glory, honor, majesty of Yahuwah, Vav Resh ALEF-TAV. Resh ALEF-Hey is to be put on exhibition. Allow to perceive, to see, to understand. He allows something of the kavod of Yahuwah to be uncovered, and rejoicing at the appearance to see it and get it. And then it says, Kol Basar, all flesh, Yechad, together, that the mouth of Yahweh has spoken? How's all flesh going to see that the mouth of Yahweh has spoken? All flesh together. Well, the word flesh, basar, bet shin resh. Bet can be the prefix that means in the condition of. Very similar to mem being a prefix, meaning in the capacity or the place or the one who. If you look at mem shin resh, it means straight, level garden bed. That which is sar or yashar, yod shin resh. So what I'm saying is, if you understand the language, you look at Yon Shin Resh, the first 3 letters of Israel. You look at Shin Resh, Sar, prince. Shir, Shin Yod Resh, song, to sing, poet. Bracelet, chain, beautiful, delicate, telling a story. Right, straight, smooth. Look at Mem Shin Resh, and you also get juice, dominion. Shin Resh Yod Nun, armored, to induce electricity. This is everything. Again, don't just look at the letter. All these things are describing zodicness and reshness. Though it's Shin Resh, it's that which is flesh, good news, prince, poet, straight, level, the garden bed where things grow. It's juice with things overflowing, with abundance, with dominion, armored. This is Habasar. And then it says TzADI Yod Resh, which is the word grass, but it's green, courtyard, courtier, blow trumpets. It's like, this is the spectacular Vekal Chesed, tender love and kindness, like TzADI Yod TzADI. Blossom, bloom, flower, glance, twitter, chirp, Hashadah. Well, the word hey, shin dalet hey, not in the dictionary. The hey means the. Shin dalet hey is open field. It's a beautiful woman. In other words, tender loving kindnesses are what they are, but then they're gone. Even doing something with dominion, it's there, and then it's gone. You win the Super Bowl, what? Then it's gone. Now it's history. It's just like dust in the wind. It's there, and then it's gone. Doesn't mean we still shouldn't. We live in the moment, but it goes on to say, but the word of Elohim, Yakom Leolam, Kufav Mem, Kom, it stands, it's positioned, it's fixed The point is, everything Yahweh said cannot be kept down. And if it looks like it's put to death, crucified, buried, entombed, it's going to sprout back if it's his. Kufav Mem. That's the TzADI. That's the resurrection. So Yeshua playing out the hero's journey, the quintessential story of all stories, the alphabet sequence, the monomyth, to see that and realize, well, that's the story of Israel also. He said we get to come back and get the blessing, just like Isaiah 35. And whether I'm alive now or later doesn't matter, because he also said in that first resurrection that the righteous get to come back to life and live for 1,000 years. And then there's going to be another resurrection where they get raised into the great white throne, and it's like they're in big trouble. But it's like, wait a minute. Is it that we sit here and we live our life and we die and then we go to heaven? We got to come back on this earth for 1,000 years? Really? Is that when Isaiah 35 is going to play out? Or is Isaiah 35 just a kind of a metaphorical statement of after everything's said and done, and we get to have a new heaven and a new earth? Or is it now that we should expect him to come back? It's like, I don't know exactly how to answer those questions. I know that all those are talked about, but all I know is he said, listen to his voice, learn how to read, and do what he said. And any voice to the contrary of that is a deception. And if I read what he said was, he has a very specific name. And he said, Yahweh will stick in our mind. And that's the memorial name, commemorative name to be recalled. But Ehia, I am, got to know that. He says, I'm your Savior, Redeemer, Deliverer. Beside me, there's no other. So he's the Savior, but he sent Saviors. He sent from heaven to earth Yahusha. I absolutely believe that, who prime, you might call it the what they call the maiden voyage, the virgin run, the alphabetic sequence of coming to earth is this man who be put to the weapon and entombed dead and rise again and rise up and come back. That story Yeshua did, thank you very much. And he was the firstborn of the many brethren, that we in his wake will be like him with him. That's what he said. That's what the story is. And there is a rising up. He's going to prepare a place, but he's going to bring the new Jerusalem back and make a new heaven and a new earth. So we live on the new earth. So there's a time to live on the restored earth of Isaiah 35 in the 1,000 year, but then there's this time for a new earth. Do we ever live in heaven? But if we go there temporarily, perhaps. He didn't give us those details, but the absolute reality of the resurrection is the TzADI. Of the fact that he said it, so it must be, is the TzADI. That he compensates his people for everything that happens, whether it's hundreds of years of slavery or whether it's brutal torments of the body. He said he'd restore and compensate. That's our Elohim. That's what he said. And that TzADI is that picture set before us of that hope, that reality that we hold to vibrantly. And like he said there at the end of that chapter of Isaiah 40, that we have these pictures, with movies especially, or paintings showing the grand moment, especially on the internet. Now you see somebody practicing for years, struggle and defeat, and finally the triumph, and they do one, and you see a 3-second clip of, wow, look at what he did, and it's over. Show me somebody else do. Wow, look at, it's like these little short clips of spectacular feats of gymnastics or sport that you could watch for years and never see. And all of a sudden now we have the internet and we can see all these things. It's beautiful. Those are all like little TzADI moments that we can appreciate. Success, victory, you did it. All the struggle, all the practice, all the training, there it is. All the hoping, there's the reality. the word of Yahweh that he told us to learn how to read. Leolam, not just forever, but beyond scope of what you even know this is. So the fact that he's allowed us to see even now, hey, go back and read what I said. Did you see that? Go back and read what I said. Anything else, like I mentioned the other week, we can't, they've got so much AI, they've got so many robots, they've got so many clones and different classifications. We don't know if we can believe our eyes. We don't know if we can believe our ears. We don't know if we're thinking right because they can put thoughts in people's head, whether you believe that or not. That's stuff they do. And called Gia. Every possible meditation or logic is a beguilement. Everything they raise up, everything they put down, it's just like, but what we have is learn what Yahweh said, and it'll just blow the whole thing apart. Everything they've zipped up, it'll just blast through. That was verse 4. And we can rejoice in the kavod of Yahweh because, look, the mouth of Yahweh is spoken. That's one way to read it. Pei Yahweh Dabar. But you could say, he said it, and now we see the reality of it. And how is everybody going to do that? All flesh, I skipped over one word, Yod Het Dalet Vav. Kal Basar Yechado. It's translated simply together. Het Dalet means devoted, singular one, but it's also altogether exclusive. Like Aleph Het Dalet, Yod Het Dalet means one. Aleph Het Dalet, Yahweh Echad, a little bit different. The 12 tribes were Yachad, Yod Het Dalet. Yahuwah himself claims to be Echad, that's the Shema, Yahweh Echad, Aleph Het Dalet.
Eric, you're muted. You're muted.
How about now?
You're on. Okay, I heard the what about now, and then he went back to muted after I said it was okay. It's muted now. Okay, now you're good.
Now it's good?
Yes.
How much of it was muted?
Just a little bit. When
Okay,
I said,
well,
basically,
maybe it's time to end. Well, I'll just say this. What he's basically saying is that for everyone to be exhilarated, rejoicing, Het Dalet Hey, over being able to see that the mouth of Yahweh has spoken what he said in his debar is the reality, is exactly what he said, and that it is determinable. It's not nonsense. It's not too high. It's not too low. It's not something that's got to be pounded over and lorded over and turned into a highway. It's exactly what he said. It's 22 pictures, 22 letters in a sequence order that Yeshua validated that the 7 days of creation, the Mishkan, and the Moedim all validate. And if you have that reckoning of holding to a bearing, it's all right there. It's all seeable. It's all knowable. And like we said the other day, it'll come a time when all of a sudden everybody will be desperate to know the truth and they'll grab it fluently, quickly, like a flash flood. They'll say, oh, now I've got the truth. But people have to be able to realize that's what this is. And it seems to me that these verses that we're talking about here that I'm bringing up are saying that's what's going to happen. And it looks to me like that's exactly what this is, which means this is that time, which means this is what's happening. And so I can realize, hey, that's like somebody saying, hey, Yeshua, we know he was dead like 3 days and 3 nights ago, but now look at, he's walking around and he just appeared. He resurrected. That's the TzADI. Hey, look, it's happening. I can look at this and say, hey, look, it's happening. The mouth of Yahweh is TzADIing right here, right now. How excellent, how outrageous, how wonderful. How Selah, fine, distinguished, excellent, curled, trailed, highly esteemed. Can you see that? Can you stop and think about that and participate with it? Vayikra, call, assemble, learn how to read. Aliyah, towards Yah. Thank you, Yahweh. Anyway, I don't know where we are, but it's probably time to quit, right?
Yeah, we're a little bit over the hour.
Okay, well, better stop here then. So, Toda Yahweh, Hodula Yuaki Tov, Ki Leolam Chazdo. Thank you, Yahweh, for giving us your word, for giving us eyes to see, ears to hear, a heart to ponder and understand. Thank you for the TzADI that you promised your people and us individually for the eternal life. Thank you for YHUH coming down and do everything that he did that we don't really appreciate enough. But thank you. Thank you, Yahweh. Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you.